Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Miasin. Welcome to the deck review episode number 4 or something like that. I don't even know if I should actually keep track, but yeah, this was actually submitted by someone on the Discord server. Again, huge shout out to the Discord server. Link will always be in the description box below if you want to join it, so you can submit your deck list and I will be making a deck review on it. So yeah, I mean, it's a really cool deck. It's pure Brandish, which is, well, or pure Sky Striker, whatever you want to call it. It's a really good anti-meta deck. Yo, it plays a lot of hand traps, Mystic Mind, a lot of hate your opponent kind of cards, so let's jump right into it. And of course, actually, before we start, friendly reminder to like and subscribe because it motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these. Alright, so for the deck list, we have 3 Ray and 3 Rose. Interesting, so he's actually maxing out on the monsters, which makes sense because he's only playing one Area 0, so he kind of has less copies of summonable Sky Striker monsters. Therefore, I think this is actually a valid lineup. And then 1 Pancratops because, I mean, it's just such a powerful card. I also do agree with that. 13 Hand Traps. Now, the 1 Veiler on paper almost looks random, but it's not because you actually have access to Needle Fiber if you normal summon like a Hand Trap, or if you revive back 1 from your opponent's graveyard with Shark Cannon. And then you can summon the Veiler from your deck, and now you might be wondering, like, why Veiler? Well, it's a spellcaster that you need for Celine. And then if you have 3 or more spells, well, if there are 3 or more spells on the field and in the graveyards, you can actually remove 3 spell counters and revive back a spellcaster from your graveyard, so then obviously you have a monster on your field alongside a Link 3, and then you can jump into Access Code Talker and pop multiple cards your opponent controls, and it's gonna be really strong, like 5300 attack, so this just gives you a lot of power in a deck that kinda needs it, honestly, because it doesn't hurt for a lot of damage, but when you can actually do power plays like that, definitely welcome. Anyways, Nibiru kinda, I don't know, it looks like it clashes a bit because you also tribute over your own monster. So if your opponent is comboing off while you have a Link monster, well, you're not really gonna float. And I mean, it's a decent card though. It doesn't suck. It's just I kind of feel like things could be a bit more optimal with this card. And then for Ash and Ghostbelle, I'm not even going to discuss them. I feel like they are really, really good. I mean, Ghostbelle, it's not like your deck really lost to Ice Dragon's Prison, so I guess there's that, but still, and obviously Ash in this deck is, yeah, for sure. Artifact Lancea, on the other hand, the thing is, if you use Lancea on your opponent's turn and you break, you're not playing the game, so it's not like a combo deck where when you Lancea and you make your opponent pass turn, you kill them. But in this deck, I don't know, I just feel like it's not broken, and yeah, sure, you can protect yourself from Evenly Matched, which is a very nice utility, and Cosmic Cyclone, but I feel like a lot of people are shifting to Lightning Storm and Duster now. Well, Duster, obviously. It's always going to be a one-of in everybody's, like, side deck or main deck, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Lancea is just, it's a good card, but not to main deck in a deck like this. I don't know. Anyways, for the spell cards, 1 Area 0 with triple Mystic Mind, Terraforming, Multi-Roll, obviously, you gotta play these cards, and then, yeah, everything here makes sense. 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Hornet. Now, this I don't really like. The Scissor Cross, Hercules Base, and Eagle Booster. I feel like these cards are definitely win more and just not necessary whatsoever, because if you brick and you draw cards like these, you're not doing anything at all. They're just actually unplayable. So, yeah, like, do you want to focus on having just higher chances of winning, or your already good hands can just, I guess, do a bit more? That's, I don't know. I feel like, especially when you're playing so many interruptions and so many blowout cards, you kind of want to focus a bit more on consistency. I didn't find a single pot card. No Desires, no Prosperity, and yeah, no Upstart either. So I feel like this is just kind of incorrect, especially the Hercules, because what are you trying to shuffle back from your graveyard or whatever into the deck? Please don't tell me Kagari, because when you're playing only 2 Kagaris and the Hercules, I feel like there's already something wrong here. This should be a 3 of. And then Hercules should not be there, so you don't play the break, because even when Kagari was at 1, Hercules wasn't the card that made people happy when they saw it. It was considered one of the toilet paper cards, alongside Eagle Booster. Basically, yeah, these are Toilet Paper Turbo. And Scissor Cross, I mean, yeah, it's just not broken. It doesn't do enough, man. It recycles back your cards, but you have so many, I mean, you already have 7 monsters, so I don't think this is required whatsoever. 3 Widow Anchor, 1 Afterburner alongside the Jamming Waves, and then Regeki and Triple Shark Cannon. Now, the Regeki, I actually kind of said in my previous video Forgot which one it was exactly. Sky Striker Mech Knight. By the way, I actually wrote Sky Striker Orchest by accident on my thumbnail and on my title, and it took like 5 hours for the first guy to actually comment and say, "Whoa, you messed up with the title and thumbnail." And I was like, "Wow, nobody else told me? This is crazy, man. If I make a mistake, please tell me like soon. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm just gonna feel like a moron for actually missing it completely." But yeah, Regeki is, yeah, it's not too bad. It kind of clears a few negates that your opponent might not always have, like the Merkaba, someone actually pointed, because it usually only has monster negates, not necessarily spell negates, and even then, if you can actually force them to discard a spell for that, it's pretty good. And then against like Invoked, Dragma, if you can make them lose like their Ecclesia and stuff, the Fleur de Lis is just not gonna be able to negate. So, I mean, it's not a great card. I feel like Dark Ruler is a bit better, but in this deck, yeah, Regeki could make sense. Anyways, for the extra deck, 2 Ziki, 2 Shizuku. Shizuku, I don't know, I also feel like it kind of should be a 3 of, because your deck is a control deck anyways, so it's not really like you, especially with all of these hand traps, it's really not like you were trying to close out the game in like 2 turns. So Shizuku and Kagari should definitely both be 3 ofs. Kaina, I can't really imagine a world in which Kaina at 2 makes sense. Hayate is at 2, I think is the perfect number. 3 is just way too much. And 1, yeah, you could argue 1 would also kind of be acceptable, but it's between 1 and 2 that people usually argue over. And Kaina, it's actually between 0 and 1. Some people are actually cutting Kaina completely, which I think is a bit extreme, but I can kind of understand. And then Access Code, Ningirsu, really nice card, Celine. Okay, Needle Fiber and Hita. Hita is just, it's no longer good, I think. Salamangreat are just no longer like completely running over like everywhere, but I can also kind of understand where he's coming from. If it gets destroyed, you're not searching anything because Ash has 1800 defense, and this searches for a fire with 1500 or less defense, so you're literally only using this to revive back fire monsters from your opponent's graveyard, which I think is just like an extra deck spot that you shouldn't dedicate to like something like Hita, and should actually focus on the third Kagari, as already said. But yeah. Anyways, for the extra side deck, 3 Gadarla, which is the best kaiju because it clears the Windbearer statue. 3 Ogre, I don't know if this is even needed when you're already playing 13 hand traps and Mystic Mine. Droll and Logbird, I guess it kind of makes sense because it covers like another form of ground. So if anything, the Droll, maybe keep it, but the Ghost Ogre, definitely not. And then Dark Ruler and Cosmic Cyclone. Now I'm going to make a comment on this deck list, and a lot of people are going to agree with me. This is a Sky Striker deck, and nowhere in this deck list I see a purple card, meaning that if someone makes this deck go first, it is not being unfair to the opponent, which I don't really like, because you always have to put in way too much effort to win your game, and also to a certain extent even rely on luck. Whereas when you play cards like There Can Only Be One, Summon Limit, and Solemn Strike, etc., well, you're playing ridiculously high-impact, powerful cards that even allow you to break and still eventually be able to play it out, and like a full hand, because obviously they can recycle back their cards from their graveyard to their hand, which is really scary. And then there's also Tidying, so even if they don't have back row removal, they can still out the Mystic Mine, meaning that you actually need legit real Yu-Gi-Oh cards if you want to stop your opponent from playing, and I just feel like this wasn't the optimal deck list. So I brought actually a few changes to this deck, and hopefully it's going to kind of help out a little bit. So let's get right into it. Alright, so this is my deck list. As you can see, I am actually main decking 5 trap cards now, and I actually cut 6 hand traps from the deck. So I think it makes sense because There Can Only Be One is also overpowered going second anyways. It's not like you could say that the card sucks because it's a trap card. Trap cards are not slow going second, trust me. People have been going Rivalry Strike and stuff like that, or Needle Sealing Strike for years now, and it's like even better than Regeki plus Dark Hole combination, because Regeki Dark Hole can actually be negated if your opponent has a lot of negates, whereas There Can Only Be One plus Strike, for example, is actually pretty nasty. And in this situation, you can also kind of kind of keep your opponent stuck with cards like Widow Anchor, etc. Ice Dragon's Prison is really good because if you draw 2 against Dragoon, you activate the first one, it gets negated, you use the second one, revive back Dark Magician, banish, and that's how you out a card that is really annoying against this deck. But yeah, I mean, I'm playing playing, what, 14 monsters? The effect veiler is still there because of the nice combo to Celine. I obviously bumped the Kagari and Shizuku to 3 because I feel like these are just cards that you should have anyways. And actually added a bunch of consistency cards. Well, actually a bunch, not a bunch, honestly. But I actually added the Upstart and Double Desires because I feel like with no pot cards, with no Foolish Goods and Metal Fusion, your deck just wasn't getting a lot of cards to your hand, especially when you only have one Area Zero. So the hand that you have at the very beginning is kind of the hand that you're going to be playing with without any surprise factor. And like, you won't be like, oh, maybe it's better than I think, etc. But yeah, I feel like these cards are kind of needed, especially Upstart. I know it loses a bit to Droll, but whatever, you gotta do what you gotta do. If you don't want to lose too hard to Droll, you can just replace all these 3 by something. I don't even know, honestly, but yeah, you definitely do need kind of draw cards. Yeah, I don't think anybody is siding Droll against this deck anyways, because Engage is banned, so it's not like you're searching 25 times. And if you're siding in trap cards and people are Drolling you when you're going set 4 anyways, what's the problem there? Yeah, Reinforcement of the Army, search Ray, Droll, set 4 pass. Yeah, Merry Christmas. You can even normal summon the Ray and just not make Shizuku, so that's a play. But yeah, anyways, apart from that, I mean, even this didn't really change. In the idea section, I don't really want to consider Ghost Ogre as a side deck card, but I do feel like the rest is pretty solid. Dark Ruler, I don't know to which extent the card is even good in a deck like this, because it's not a guarantee that you break your opponent's board, but Dark Ruler plus Mystic Mine could be kind of cute, but I don't really want to bank on Mystic Mine too much on game 2 and 3, because you can't make your opponent deck out anymore. And then for the trap cards that I wanted to play on top, obviously if you can actually squeeze in Metaverse in your main deck, that would be nice, because activating Mystic Mine on your opponent's turn is way more unfair than actually using it on your turn, because at least it can get negated, whereas Metaverse, it's kind of like you can't really play around it, and you can't even get Phoenixed on the Metaverse, and by the time you have Mystic Mine up, you also cannot get Phoenixed, obviously. And for the summon limit, well, it's just kind of an insta-win almost to the same degree as There Can Only Be One is. So that's it for this beautiful deck review. Again, huge shout out to my homie who actually sent me this beautiful Brandish or Sky Striker deck list. And guys, don't forget that you can also submit your deck list to me in the Discord server. Link will be in the description box below. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it motivates me a lot to keep making videos like these, and I will see you next time. Peace.